What's going on, guys? Joe here again. I just wanted to touch base with you about what you're going to need during nursing school. There's a few videos out there, but I wanted to specifically talk about what you're going to need in lab and in clinicals. So this is more the equipment side of things. I'm going to talk about studying and schoolwork and things like that during nursing school in another video, okay? Some of which you can skimp on, some of which you can go the cheap route, and some of which I definitely don't recommend you go the cheap route on, okay? So let's jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is a stethoscope. Obviously, everybody knows in nursing school you're going to need a stethoscope, right? But there is a lot of options out there. I mean, from $5 that you can get on Amazon to $180 to $500. You can get stethoscopes all across the board on a huge spectrum of pricing, and they all do the same thing, right? So what should you go with? So the stethoscope that I use is the Littmann Cardiology 4. This is about $180. You can get it between $160 and $180. It is one of the best that you can get before you get to the digital amplifying stethoscopes. Okay, it's one of the best as far as the quality of sound. It's got double insulated tubes, meaning that the amount of artifact that you hear when you're listening to a blood pressure, you listen to cardiac sounds, respiratory sounds, the amount of artifact you get from tubes rubbing together or things bumping is reduced significantly with this stethoscope, okay? It's also got a deeper bell, so the bell itself is wider than in regular stethoscopes. And what that allows you to do is pick up a wider range of frequencies. So you can flip the bell around on one side and listen to higher pitched sounds if you're listening specifically for heart valve movement, the clicking of the heart valve, and you can hear the higher frequency sounds, so it kind of hones in on those valves as opposed to just overall sounds, right? So when you listen to the lungs, it's a very low frequency sound. And when you listen to the heart valves, they're a very high frequency sound. So a cardiac stethoscope allows you to kind of separate those two sounds to where you can hear distinctions in the heart, as opposed to a lot of the artifact you'll hear even within the body, like the lungs or the digestive system. When listening to one specific system, you want to hear that system clearly. Another extremely popular stethoscope is the Littmann Classic 3. Okay, it's a little bit longer, tube's a little bit thinner, it's a little bit lighter. It is a phenomenal stethoscope. I've used this stethoscope. I also, my sister is in nursing school with me right now, and she uses this stethoscope on a daily basis. It is a phenomenal stethoscope. This one's going to range from $80 to $100, which is going to be a little cheaper than the cardiology. It is still going to be a super, super good stethoscope. Okay, so don't skimp on a stethoscope. All right. Number two, this is the second item that I think you're absolutely going to need. That's a laptop. Okay. I do not recommend you skimp on a laptop. You can go down to Walmart right now and pick up a laptop for 90 bucks. I do not recommend getting a $90 laptop while in nursing school, because you don't want to have valuable, critical information, saved files, papers that you've written, research that you've saved, things like that on your laptop, and then your laptop crash. Or your laptop do what $90 laptops do, which is freeze or run slowly or not operate correctly after a very short period of time. You don't want that to happen, okay? I personally use a MacBook Pro. I've had it for about 2 years, and it runs just as flawlessly as it did the day I bought it. It is great. You can run multiple windows. You can run side-by-side windows. It's very efficient, very quick. I've had it for, like I said, over 2.5 years of heavy use, in school, out of school, heavy use. The battery still lasts all day long. I can charge it overnight, use it all day in nursing school, and it lasts all day long. I won't have to charge it again until I get home at night, right? That is, even though it doesn't sound super important, that will become invaluable when you're in nursing school. An alternative to the MacBook Pro, which right now runs between $1,500 and $1,800 if you get the 15-inch version, the smaller version, is the MacBook Air. I wouldn't normally have recommended it, but the newer version they just came out with is phenomenal. As a matter of fact, my sister uses that right now, and it is absolutely killer. They didn't update the MacBook Air model for a while, and it was becoming obsolete. It was kind of clunky. The new model, phenomenal. I definitely recommend it. So if your budget's a little lower for a laptop, you know, if you can't go $1,500 to $1,800, the MacBook Air is running right now about $1,100 to $1,200. And most of the time, as school starts, that period of time, right, September, October, August, that area, there's a lot of big discounts on MacBooks and MacBook Airs. You can get hundreds of dollars off because it's the school start time frame. So be looking for those discounts too, okay? Something just kind of as a side note that I recommend you getting is an external hard drive. Just like I mentioned earlier, everything that you're doing in nursing school is critical. Matter of fact, the particular program I'm at, if you are 1 minute past the deadline for your paper, you get a 50% reduction in the overall grade. Meaning that if you got 100% on that paper, which doesn't happen, you would only get 50%. You'd only get 50% of the points because you were a minute late. So what I recommend is getting you just a reasonably priced external hard drive. The one that I have is about $60. It's a 1 terabyte hard drive, so it's 1,000 gigabytes. That's more than enough for anything I'm going to do during nursing school. And what that allows me to do is back up all my files onto that so that if something does happen to my laptop, I still have a backup copy that I'd be able to access and turn in and things like that, okay? The third thing that I don't think you can skimp on, I do not recommend it at all, is your scrubs. You're gonna wanna spend a little bit of money on your scrubs. Now, I don't mean $300 or $400 per pair, but for instance, I wear the Dickies scrubs, which is what I'm wearing now, and it's got a flexible material. It's like wearing pajamas, right? They're very, very strong, but they're also very flexible, so they don't restrict me when I'm moving around or when I'm moving patients or when I'm operating as a nurse would. They don't restrict me at all. They don't make me feel like I'm tangled up in my scrubs and I can't move the way that I need to move to take care of my patients. So the ones that I would recommend are these Dickies. They run about $60 or $70 for a whole set. So that's actually relatively cheap in terms of good scrubs. Okay. The second option that I would recommend is the Figs, the new Figs setup. They have a whole line of really, really, really great scrubs, and a lot of people, CRNAs, nurses, surgeons, a lot of people recommend those scrubs because of how easy they are to operate in. Okay, now those are going to run you about $100 for a whole set, depending again on color and size, but again, good scrubs are not one of those things you want to skimp on. The fourth thing and the last thing that I recommend that you do not skimp on is your shoes. You're going to be on your feet all the time. You do not want to go the cheap route. Initially, you're going to think those cheap pair are going to do it, right? You're going to buy them, they're going to fit okay, they're going to feel okay. You're going to think, yeah, this will be fine, right? After you run 2 or 3 12-hour shifts in clinicals, or you're on your feet all day in lab, or you're running around doing your independent site clinicals, whatever the case may be, you're going to regret buying a $12 pair of shoes, right? So what I recommend is nursing shoes. There's a wide range now of brands and colors, and some of them have designs. Mine are pretty simple. They're just black. They're not there for looks. They're just there for function. But they have great arch support. They fit well, and they're impermeable to liquids and fluids, which means that literally at the end of the day when I get home from clinicals, I can spray them with Clorox or a reduced Clorox solution or a cleaning solution, wipe them off, get all the germs off, and then put them somewhere and never have to worry about them. They're very, very functional for what you're doing. And they also have lots of designs. So if you do like something that's less functional and kind of more fashionable, they have a lot of designs out there now for a lot of different brands. So the brand that I use is Clogs. Again, very functional. They run about $60 to $80, but you can get some that are a little bit more expensive that have more of that fashionable, look to them. All right, so now I want to talk about a couple things that you definitely need, but you do not need to go the expensive route, okay? And the first thing is a pen light. Right? Just a regular old pen light. That's all we're talking about, okay? You can get pen lights, I kid you not, for upwards of $180, okay? Now, most people won't ever recommend a $180 pen light. There are some, though, that people recommend between $40 and $50. I don't know what these pens are doing that a regular old pen light wouldn't do, but I can tell you for a nurse, the function of the pen light, you don't need one that's $50. Okay, mine was, I believe it was about $15, $10 to $15, and it came with 2, a black one and a silver one. They came with batteries, and they also came with interchangeable heads that changed the Kelvin of the light itself. So one was more of a tungsten, like an orange light, and one of them was more of a bright white light, like a daylight type light. Which again, doesn't matter. It's just neat that they threw it in there. Right. All you're going to be doing for the most part is checking pupil response with your pen lights. You may be looking in the mouth, in the nose. This pen light will do everything you could possibly need to do with a pen light in nursing school. $15 for 2 of them, $45, $50 for 1 of them. They're going to do the same thing. Okay. I don't recommend you go the expensive route on those. I do recommend you go the cheap route. Now there is a a scale there somewhere where if you buy, you know, a 99-cent pen light, it's probably going to end up breaking. So I recommend between, you know, 8 and 12 or 15 bucks. And you can get a more than adequate pen light that's going to do everything you need it to do. The second thing that I recommend that you can go ahead and go the cheaper route on is an ID badge holder and a reel, okay? You will have multiple badges that you have to access and switch out and use on a regular basis. You're going to be going to different clinical sites. You're in school, in your lab, you have to have your school ID. At the clinical sites, you have to have IDs for them. You can go the expensive route, right? You can buy a reel on Amazon for 15 bucks. You can buy a nice leather case for your ID badges for another 12 or 15 bucks, right? You can spend 30 bucks on one reel. You can do that if you want. I just don't recommend it. They're going to get dirty. They're going to get dirt in them. You're going to drop them. You could potentially, you're going to throw them in your bag. I bought about 10 of each. So I have 10 full sets of the reel and the actual ID holder itself. And I believe I spent $18. So it was $18 for 10 of each. So I have 10 full sets of reel and ID badge holder for 18 bucks. Right? You don't have to get a full set of 10, but I did. You get dirt and grime in these things, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be worth it. You spend 30 or 40 bucks, you're still going to get dirt and grime in them, except now it's going to be more expensive to replace. Another item that I do recommend that you get of your own is an O2 sat monitor. These are pretty neat. You can get them for a wide range of price. You can get them for $50, $60, $80, $100. I don't recommend that. There's absolutely no reason to buy a $100 O2 sat monitor, right? So this particular one, I believe I spent about $22 on this. Again, I shop on Amazon for almost everything. Came in 2 days. It works beautifully. Don't go the expensive route on O2 sat monitor. It's just not worth it. All right, hemostats. You will absolutely need hemostats. Basically, they're just clamps. You will use hemostats for a lot of things. They will save your life as a nursing student and as a nurse. They're one of those things you don't really think about a lot until you need them. And then once you need them, you hope that you have them. So hemostats one of those things. You don't have to go the expensive route. There's no reason to get designer hemostats or anything crazy. 10, 12 bucks, get a good pair of hemostats that work. You will more than likely lose a lot of these things, right? Your pen light, your hemostats, your thermometers, things like that. You'll more than likely lose some of these things before your career is over, right? So you don't want to spend $20 or $30 on some of these things just to lose them. The last thing I want to talk about is one of these bad boys, right? Just a thermometer. As silly as that sounds to pick up a thermometer, you'd be surprised how many hospitals don't have enough thermometers. Every hospital I've gone into so far, it's basically a constant negotiation over who's going to get the thermometer next, right? So carry one with you, keep it with you. If you know you're going to have to check a temperature on your patient pretty frequently, these work pretty well. This particular one, it's about a 2-second thermometer, meaning that once it's on and you put it on the patient, it takes about 2-3 seconds to give you a read, and it's pretty accurate. Last thing I want to talk about, which is one of those things that I feel like we all know or we've heard, but we feel like it's not really something for us, and that is compression stockings, right? Some people call them TED hose, some people call them compression hose, compression stockings, compression socks, whatever the case may be. I highly recommend you get a few pair of compression socks. They initially won't feel like they're doing a whole lot, but if you ask any nurse that's been nursing for 10, 15, 20 years, they either have worn compression stockings the entire time, or they wish they had worn compression stockings the entire time. I highly recommend you picking up some of those. That's all I've got for now, guys. If I added value, man, hit that like button. If you're looking forward to value in the future, you're thinking about being a nursing student, or you are a nursing student, feel free to subscribe. I'm going to have tutorials coming up, more lessons on things that you'll need, some of the hacks, if you will, of things that most people don't talk to you about before you get into nursing school. I want to talk about it. I want to lay it all out there on the table, give those that are thinking about nursing school or just getting into nursing school an advantage. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about anything. I have some links in the description for all the things I talked about today. Other than that, have a great day.